this! Please listen to me. If you cut my hair, something terrible will happen. The forest spirit.
She had waited her whole life for a child, abandoned by her husband, mocked by her village, left with nothing but an empty house and a broken heart. But the day Hannah walked deep into that ancient forest and cried out to God, everything changed. A spirit appeared from the shadows, a baby with snow-white hair glowing like moonlight in the dark. She is yours, the spirit said, but if her hair is ever cut, the forest will take her back. Hannah swore she would protect her. For 18 years, she kept that promise. But there were three girls who had other plans.
Not after what
and
happened.
what they did in the
I'm with
forest
you. We
that
finished
morning
this.
would
Lulu,
change all of their
are you in?
lives forever. Before we begin, dear friends, if you are new here, welcome to Helen Folktale, your home for the most powerful African stories ever told. Please take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment below, and subscribe so you never miss a single story. It means the world to me. Now, let us begin. Many people in the village of Adaeze used to whisper that Hannah was cursed. Not because she had a wicked heart. Hannah had one of the softest, purest hearts that ever lived in that village. She fed hungry children from her own pot. She sat with the elderly when no one else would. She prayed for people who had never once prayed for her. But after 7 long years of marriage, her womb remained silent. At first, her husband Obasi was patient. He held her hand at night and said, "God is not asleep, my dear. It will happen." He prayed with her. He comforted her through her tears. But seasons came and went, rains fell and dried, and nothing changed. Slowly, Obasi's patience curdled into silence. Then silence became distance. Then distance became cruelty. One evening, he came home with his belongings packed into a cloth bag. He dropped it near the door and said without even looking at her, "I cannot waste my life waiting for a barren woman. I deserve children, a real family, one I have already found." Hannah crumbled. She fell to her knees right there on the mud floor and held his legs, weeping. She had known for years that he visited another woman in the next village. She had pretended not to know, swallowing the pain like dry pepper, holding on to hope that one day her own child would come. "Please," she begged, "please don't go. I will try anything." Obasi stepped over her and walked out. The door shut behind him with a finality that broke something deep inside Hannah, something that would take a miracle to mend. From that day, Hannah became like a hollow tree, still standing but empty inside. She stopped laughing. She stopped singing. She moved through the village like a shadow, eyes fixed on the ground to avoid the whispers that followed her everywhere. Poor woman. Her husband left her for another. She was always too quiet, too soft. A woman with no child is a woman with no purpose. To survive, Hannah began rising before dawn to gather firewood from the forest. She tied the bundles herself, balanced them on her head, and carried them to the market. It was hard, grinding work. Her back ached, her hands cracked and bled, but it kept her alive. And the forest became the one place she could breathe. Every morning, she walked deeper into those ancient trees, and sometimes she would stop walking, set down her rope, and simply cry. Not the kind of crying that you do when others are present. The deep, animal kind. The kind your body does when words are no longer enough. But even the trees kept her secrets. It was a late afternoon when Hannah's body finally gave out. She had been cutting wood for hours. Her back was burning. Her feet were swollen. Her hands trembled so badly she could barely hold her cutlass. She dropped it, lowered herself onto a fallen log, and stared into the trees. The forest was quiet. Only the murmur of distant birds, the slow rustle of leaves. And then, as if the silence had been waiting for this exact moment, Hannah broke. She covered her face with both hands and cried from the deepest place inside her. "Oh God, I have tried to be good. I have tried to be patient, but I am so tired of being alone in this world." Her shoulders shook. "I only want one thing, just one. Let me feel what it means to be a mother, even once. Even if I die tomorrow, just let me hold a child and call her mine." She wept until her chest ached. Then, a wind that made no sense passed through the trees. Hannah felt the cold before she heard anything. She lifted her tear-stained face slowly and froze. An old woman stood before her. She had come from nowhere. Her clothes were long and green, the color of living leaves in deep shade. Her hair was silver and unbound, floating softly as though suspended in invisible water. Her eyes were calm, not the calm of indifference, but the calm of a river that has flowed for 1,000 years and seen everything. In her arms, she held a baby. The baby had hair the color of fresh snow, skin like milk in morning light, and eyes that shimmered with something that did not entirely belong to this world. Hannah's mouth fell open. Who are you?" she breathed. The old woman smiled, gently, the way only someone with no cruelty left in them can smile. "My name is Omia. I am the guardian spirit of this forest, and I have heard your crying, Hannah. For years I have heard it." Hannah's blood ran cold. "How do you know my name?" Omia stepped closer. She held out the baby. "Open your arms, child." Hannah obeyed without thinking. The moment the baby settled against her chest, warm, real, breathing, something inside her shattered and rebuilt itself. At the same time, a feeling so overwhelming it had no name. The baby looked up at her with those luminous eyes and smiled. Hannah gasped. Tears she had not known she still had poured down her face. "She's beautiful," she whispered, laughing and crying at once. "She's so beautiful." "Her name is Aurora," Omia said softly. "She is the answer to every prayer you have ever prayed." Hannah held Aurora tighter. "But how? How is this possible?" Omia's eyes glowed gently. "Your love created her. Your tears shaped her." For one perfect moment, Hannah felt nothing but joy. Then Omia's face changed. The warmth remained, but something else entered her expression, a gravity that pressed down on the air between them. "Hannah," she said carefully, "this gift comes with a condition, and the condition is not a small one." Hannah looked up quickly. "Anything," she said. "I will do anything." Omia reached out and gently touched the baby's white curls. "You must never cut her hair," she said. "Not for any reason, not to tidy it, not for any ceremony, not even by accident." Hannah swallowed. "Why?" "Because her life, her human form, lives inside that hair. The day it is cut, the forest will take her back, and she will return to me." Hannah pressed Aurora so tightly to her chest, the baby made a small sound. "I swear," Hannah said immediately, "I swear on my own life, I will never cut it. I will guard it with everything I have." Omia nodded slowly. She looked at Aurora for a long moment with something that looked almost like grief. "And when she turns 18, she added quietly, something will happen." Hannah's heart seized. What? What will happen? But even as she asked the question, she could see Omia's form beginning to shimmer. Tears appeared in the old woman's ancient eyes. Her body began to dissolve, like smoke unwinding from a dying fire. "Be prepared," Omia's voice echoed, already from somewhere far away. "Be prepared, my child." "Prepared for what?" Hannah cried. "Please, what will happen to her? Omia!" But the forest spirit was gone. Hannah stood alone in the trees, holding a baby she had not carried in her own womb, with a warning in her heart she could not yet understand. Aurora laughed, a small bright sound like water over stones. Hannah looked down at her, and despite the fear pressing against her ribs, she smiled. "You're mine now," she whispered. "No matter what comes, 18 years is a long time. We will face it together." And for the first time in longer than she could remember, Hannah walked out of the forest with hope. Aurora grew faster than any child Hannah had ever known. It seemed like only yesterday, a tiny bundle of white curls sleeping in her arms, fingers curled like petals. And now here was a girl of 5, running barefoot between the mango trees, her white hair shining behind her like a flag of silver light. Hannah kept a careful, quiet guard over that hair. No village woman was permitted to touch it. "It tangles if strangers handle it," she would say, with a polite smile. No curious child was allowed to pull at it. "She gets headaches," Hannah explained cheerfully, all the while feeling the weight of Omia's warning pressing against her every single day. The villagers noticed, of course. "What is the matter with that mother and her daughter's hair?" they whispered. "She guards it like it contains all her gold." They did not know how right they were. As Aurora grew, so did the strangeness around her. One morning, Hannah woke burning with fever. Her body felt like wet cloth, her joints screamed, her head pounded. She lay flat on her mat, too weak even to call for help. Aurora climbed onto the bed without a word. She placed her small palm against her mother's forehead. A warmth, not the kind that comes from the burning, but the kind that comes from the inside of a fire, from its very center, spread from that tiny hand into Hannah's whole body. Within minutes, the fever was gone. Hannah sat up slowly, her eyes wide, her hands shaking for a different reason now. "You're better now, Mama," Aurora said simply, and climbed back down to go play. Hannah sat on her mat for a long time after that, staring at nothing. Her child was special. She had always suspected it. Now she knew. And somehow, knowing made the fear heavier, not lighter. Aurora made 3 close friends as she grew: Loretta, Dana, and Lulu. They were children from the village, ordinary in every way, and they were the only ones who looked at Aurora's white hair with wonder instead of suspicion. They called her their moon-haired sister. They fetched water together, collected firewood together, whispered secrets under the mango tree until the sun went down. Aurora loved them with all her heart. She trusted them completely. One afternoon, while they were all sitting together near Hannah's house, Aurora suddenly went still. She looked at nothing for a moment, the way a person looks when they are listening to something no one else can hear. "Mama," she said quietly, "there is a heavy storm coming today. We should warn the village to stay indoors." Hannah looked up at a sky that was pale and cloudless. She warned the villagers anyway. By afternoon, the sky had turned the color of bruised iron. Rain hammered the earth, wind tore through the crops, trees that had stood for 40 years groaned and fell. The villagers, safe inside their huts, stared out in disbelief. Afterwards, Loretta looked at Aurora with wide, almost frightened eyes. "How did you know?" Aurora only shrugged. Dana reached for her hand. "You are like magic." Lulu said nothing. She only watched. But the gifts did not stop there. One hot afternoon, a crowd gathered outside Mama Rose's compound. Her husband had been wasting away for months, gray-faced, too weak to lift his own head. Mama Rose was wailing in the yard, calling on every god she knew. Before Hannah could stop her, Aurora slipped through the crowd and knelt beside the sick man. She placed both hands on his chest. For one breathless moment, nothing happened. Then the man's eyes opened. He drew a long, deep breath. He sat up and then stood, steady on his feet, color flooding back into his face as if someone had poured life back into him. The crowd erupted. "She is gifted by the gods themselves." Word spread like fire in Hamatan. By the following morning, people were arriving at Hannah's door from 3 villages away, and Aurora helped them all. She never asked for payment. She never accepted gifts. "My gift is not for selling," she would say softly and turn to the next person. Hannah watched all of this with a mother's pride tied up in knots of dread, and in the corner of her eye, she watched Loretta, Dana, and Lulu. She watched the way their smiles came a little slower when Aurora was praised, the way they folded their arms when the crowd gathered, the way Lulu had taken to going quiet at moments when she used to laugh. One evening, Hannah drew Aurora gently aside. "My child," she said, cupping her daughter's face in both hands, "I want you to be careful. Something is changing in your friends' hearts." Aurora shook her head quickly. "They love me, Mama." "People can love you and still envy you," Hannah said quietly. She held Aurora's gaze. "Promise me something. Promise me that you will not let anyone, not even them, come near your hair." Aurora hesitated. "But why, Mama?" "Just promise me." Aurora nodded slowly. "I promise." Hannah exhaled, but the tightness in her chest did not leave, because outside, under the mango tree where the 4 girls used to laugh together, 3 of them were sitting in silence. And Loretta was saying, "Do you think it's her hair? Do you think that's where it all comes from?" Dana's eyes darkened. "It has to be." Lulu said, whispered, so quiet the leaves barely heard her. "If the hair was gone, maybe she would just be normal, like the rest of us." And for the first time, the 3 of them looked at Aurora's white hair not with wonder, but with hunger. By the time Aurora turned 16, the whole region knew her name. Elders came to seek her counsel before planting seasons. Mothers brought their dying infants. Young men asked her to read the weather before long journeys. And always, Aurora gave what she had. Hannah was proud. Hannah was terrified. 2 more years, she kept thinking. 2 more years and the day Omia warned me about will arrive. The night before Aurora's 18th birthday, the air felt different. Hannah noticed it the moment she stepped outside. The forest at the edge of the village was still. Not the comfortable stillness of evening, but a held-breath stillness, a waiting stillness. She went inside quickly and sat beside Aurora on the bed and picked up the wooden comb and began to brush her long white hair the way she had done every night since Aurora was a baby in her arms. "My child," she said softly, "since you can see so many things, can you see your own tomorrow?" Aurora's hand stilled in her lap. She was quiet for a long moment. "No, Mama," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whenever I try to look at my own future, everything goes dark. The spirits will not allow it." Hannah's stomach turned to cold water. She put down the comb and held Aurora's face faithfully in both hands. "Then listen to me carefully," she said. "Tomorrow, on your birthday, I want you to stay inside this house. Don't go anywhere. Don't follow anyone, no matter what they say. Not even your friends. Wait for me. Can you promise me that?" Aurora looked into Hannah's eyes and saw something there that frightened her. "Yes, Mama, I promise." Hannah held her close for a long time. Too long, maybe, the way you hold someone when something inside you already knows. Before the sun fully rose that morning, Hannah tied her firewood bundle in the gray pre-dawn light. She paused at the door and looked back at Aurora still sleeping, her white hair spread across the pillow like spilled moonlight. Hannah bent down and kissed her forehead. "I will be back before noon, my love," she whispered, and she walked out into the morning. Not 10 minutes after she left, there was a knock on the door. Aurora opened it.
Loretta stood on the step, smiling. Behind her were Dana and Lulu. "Happy birthday," Loretta said brightly. "We came to fetch you," Dana added. "Come to the stream with us." Aurora hesitated. "My mother asked me to stay indoors today." Lulu laughed, a light, easy laugh. "Come on, we'll be back before she returns. Besides, don't you need water to cook your birthday rice?" Loretta reached out and took Aurora's hand warmly. "Don't be afraid," she said, her voice soft and reassuring. "We are your sisters, remember? When have we ever led you wrong?" Aurora looked at their faces. The faces she had grown up with. The faces she had laughed with under the mango tree. The faces she had trusted with her dreams, her fears, her secrets. She made the only decision she felt she could make. "Okay," she said, "just quickly." And she went with them into the forest.
The forest was already awake. The path to the stream curved through a part of the forest that was older and quieter than the rest. The trees here were tall enough to block the sky. The air smelled of damp earth and old roots. They were nearly at the stream when Loretta stopped walking. "Wait," she said. Aurora turned. "What is it?" She noticed it then. The way they had positioned themselves. Dana behind her, Lulu to her left, Loretta in front, blocking the path forward. Aurora's heartbeat changed. "Why are you standing like that?" she asked, slowly. None of them answered right away. Loretta's hands were trembling. Dana would not meet her eyes. Only Lulu looked directly at her, and what was in Lulu's eyes made Aurora take a step backward. "It has to be done," Loretta whispered. Her voice cracked. "We've thought about it for a long time." "The only way to what?" Aurora asked. Her voice was steady, but her heart was screaming. Then Dana pulled out a small pair of scissors. Aurora went cold from head to toe. "No," she said immediately. She stepped back, but Lulu's hands were already on her shoulders. "No, please, you don't understand what you are doing." "Your hair is the source of all of it," Loretta said, tears running down her face now. "All the praise, all the gifts, all the people crowding around you as if you are something above us. We just want you to be normal, like us." "I am like you," Aurora cried. She struggled, turning, trying to pull free. "I never asked for any of this. Please listen to me. If you cut my hair, something terrible will happen. The forest spirit." "Stories," Dana said flatly, and raised the scissors. "Please," Aurora's voice broke. "I am begging you as your sister. Loretta, Lulu, we grew up together. You know me. Please don't do this." For one moment, Loretta's hand shook. For one moment, it seemed like she might stop. Then Dana reached past her. The scissors caught the white hair and cut. The strands fell to the forest floor. For one heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the forest screamed. A wind erupted from nowhere, violent and furious, tearing through the trees with a sound like something ancient and enormous waking from sleep. The sky above the canopy went dark, not the dark of clouds, but a sudden total dark, as though the light itself had been snatched away. The white hair on the ground dissolved, not blew away, not scattered, dissolved, like morning frost in sunlight, gone as if it had never existed. Aurora's body went still. Her eyes closed. She crumpled to the earth, not breathing, not moving, a stillness so complete it was worse than any sound. Loretta stumbled backward. Dana's mouth opened but no sound came out. Lulu looked at her own hands as if she had never seen them before. "What did we do?" Lulu whispered. Far across the village, Hannah dropped her bundle of firewood. She did not know what she felt. There was no word for it. It was deeper than pain, older than pain. It was the sensation of something being torn out of the center of her. "My child!" She ran. Hannah burst through the trees and saw her daughter lying on the ground. She fell beside her before she even stopped running. She gathered Aurora into her arms. She was so still, so terrifyingly still, and pressed her face to her daughter's cheek. My child, wake up for Mama, please." Nothing. No breath, no heartbeat, no warmth. Hannah looked up at the three girls, her eyes burning. "What have you done?" Her voice was quiet, which was somehow worse than screaming. We didn't mean," Dana was crying so hard the words collapsed. "We just wanted to cut her hair," Loretta said. "We wanted her to be normal." "She was perfect," Hannah yelled. The words tear out of her before she could stop them. "She was perfect, and she was mine." The wind stopped. Abruptly, completely. The forest went so silent that every person there could hear their own heartbeat. Then a light appeared between the trees. Not the light of the sun. Something older, something with intention. Omia stepped out of the forest. She was not the gentle old woman Hannah had met 18 years ago. She was still old, still silver-haired, still green-robed, but she burned now. Her eyes were lit like living coals, her presence pressed against the air the way thunder presses before it breaks. She looked at Aurora's still body for a long moment. Then she looked at Hannah. "She happened," she said. Her voice was quiet and immense. "I warned you, child." Hannah let out a sound that was not quite a scream and not quite a sob. She gathered Aurora tighter. "Please," she said, lifting her tear-soaked face. "Please, take my life. I have lived long enough. She is only 18 years old. She has not even started. Take me in her place. Let her live." Omia was still. Then slowly, she knelt beside Aurora. She placed one glowing hand gently over Aurora's heart. "Aurora," she whispered, "it is time to come back now." A soft golden light moved through Aurora's body like warm water through a still pool. Aurora gasped, one great shuddering breath. Her eyes flew open. "Mama," she whispered before she was even fully awake. Hannah pulled her in and held her so tightly that Aurora could feel her mother's heart pounding against her own chest. You're alive, my child," she kept saying. Then Aurora looked up. She saw Omia. She understood immediately. "Mama," she whispered, "she wants to take you, doesn't she?" Hannah tried to smile. Her lips trembled. "Yes, my love." "No!" Aurora grabbed her mother's cloth with both fists. "No, then take me back. I don't want to be alive without you. I won't do it." "Aurora, take me back!" she was screaming now, sobbing, pressing her face against her mother's chest. "I would rather go back than live a single day in this world without you, Mama. You are my whole world." Hannah held her and rocked her and wept into her hair. "Mothers are meant to go first," she whispered. "That is the way of things, my love. I want you to live. I want you to grow old. I want you to find joy and love and a life I never had. Live for both of us." Behind them, Loretta, Dana, and Lulu had fallen to their knees. They were not crying from fear anymore. They were crying from understanding, the full, undeniable weight of what they nearly destroyed. Omia watched all of this, and then something shifted in her ancient face. She raised her hand. "There is another way," she said, "but it has a price." Hannah and Aurora both looked up at once. "Both of you may keep your lives," Omia said slowly. "But Aurora, if you choose to remain fully in the human world, you will lose everything, every gift, every power. You will no longer heal the sick or see what is coming. You will be ordinary, fully and completely human." Hannah did not even pause. "I accept," she said. "I never wanted her to carry those gifts. I only ever wanted my daughter. That is enough. That has always been enough." Aurora lifted her tear-streaked face. "Yes," she said, 1,000 times yes. I don't want any gift in any world if it costs me my mother." Omia placed her hand gently on Aurora's head. A warm, bright light covered her from crown to feet. Not blinding, but full, complete, like the light that comes after a storm clears. Aurora's hair began to grow back. Not all white. Half turned black, dark and rich as the forest soil at its roots. The other half remained white, silver and glowing as it had always been. 2 colors, 2 natures, 2 worlds woven together in the one place on her body that had carried her life. "It is done," Omia said quietly. "She is fully human now, but she will always carry a mark of where she came from. Half spirit, half earth, one soul." Then the spirit turned to the 3 girls. Loretta, Dana, and Lulu were still on their knees. They did not try to stand. They simply bent forward with their hands pressed to the ground and wept. "We are sorry," Loretta said.
Her voice was wrecked. We let jealousy rot everything that was good between us. You see now, Omia said. Her eyes were not warm, but they were not merciless either. Jealousy, she said, each word landing like something placed with great care, is a quiet poison. It enters the heart gently before you even notice it is there. It whispers that someone else's blessing is your theft. It turns love into competition and friendship into war. She raised her hand. A flash of white light touched each of their heads. All three cried out. Their hair fell, not caught, released. Every strand in a single breath gone. They touched their bare heads with trembling hands. You will carry this, Omia said, as the visible mark of what jealousy did through you, so that whenever the world asks why, you will have an answer, and perhaps in giving that answer you will spare someone else the same path. The wind softened. The darkness pulled back from the sky, slowly, like a curtain being drawn aside to let in morning. Omia stepped back toward the tree line. My work here is finished, she said. She looked at Hannah one last time, and in her ancient burning eyes there was something unmistakably human. Love. Look after each other, she said, and she dissolved back into the forest light. Hannah and Aurora sat on the forest floor for a long time, holding each other, saying nothing, because there was nothing left to say that their arms were not already saying. Finally, Hannah rose. She helped Aurora to her feet. She took her daughter's hand. They walked out of the forest together. The morning light came through the trees in long golden columns, and it felt, the way these things sometimes do, as though the forest itself was watching them go and was glad. Behind them, Loretta, Dana, and Lulu sat on the earth. Their bare heads shone under the light. They watched Hannah and Aurora walk away, hand in hand, alive. And they understood, fully, finally, too late and yet not too late, what they had nearly taken from this world. Life, when it returned to normal, was sweeter for being ordinary. Aurora could no longer heal the sick. She could no longer look into tomorrow. When the weather turned or a storm gathered, she felt it in her bones like any other person. She loved it. For the first time in her life, she moved through the village without eyes following her everywhere, without desperate hands reaching for her, without the weight of other people's pain pressing on her chest every morning. She was simply Aurora, Hannah's daughter, a young woman with half black, half white hair who liked to cook and laugh and sit with her mother in the evening, watching the fireflies come out. They farmed together, they cooked together, they told each other small things, the kind of things that seem unimportant until you understand that small things are how you build a life worth living. At night, they sat outside and watched the moon. "Mama," said Aurora one evening, "do you regret anything?" Hannah was quiet for a moment. "Not a single day," she said. Aurora leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. Hannah put her arm around her daughter, the daughter her tears had shaped, the daughter the forest had given her, the daughter she had offered her own life for without thinking twice. As for Loretta, Dana, and Lulu, their hair never grew back. They lived with that. They had no choice. When children pointed and asked why their heads were bare, the three women would go still for a moment, and then they would say, "Because we let jealousy live inside us, and jealousy destroys what love built." It was not a comfortable answer. It was not meant to be. And somewhere in the forest, in the deep, old green quiet, where the light comes through in fragments and the roots run deeper than memory, Omia moved between the trees, watching over what she had made, as she always would. Jealousy is a quiet poison. It does not arrive loudly. It enters the heart on soft feet while you are not watching, and it whispers that someone else's blessing is your theft. It turns love into competition and friendship into war.
But this story is not only about what jealousy ruins, it is about what love endures. A mother who had been abandoned, mocked and left behind, loved so completely and so purely that the forest spirit heard her crying and answered. A mother who, without hesitation, offered her own life for her child, not because she was unafraid, but because love, in its truest form, does not calculate the cost. The greatest power in this story is not Aurora's gift of healing, it is not her sight, it is not the forest spirit's light, it is Hannah's love. That is what defeated death. And the most precious thing in this world is not wealth or beauty or fame or even extraordinary gifts. It is a love that stays, even when everything else is taken away. My dear friends, if this story touched your heart, please do one thing for me right now. Give this video a like, share it with someone you love, and if you have not yet subscribed to Helen Folktale, please do so now so you never miss a single story. And in the comments below, I want to hear from you. Which part of this story moved you the most? Was it Hannah's sacrifice, Aurora's love, or the moment the forest took everything back? Tell me, and please tell me where in this beautiful world you are watching from tonight. I read every single comment. I will see you in our next story, my dear friends. Until then, stay kind, stay loving, and never forget, the greatest thing you can give another person is a love that stays. Good night.